Alrighty guys, here we go. So today we're going to be doing our second axis on our achieve scope, sight and scope using the bright sight third axis system. So on the last video yesterday you've seen we done the first axis, and the first axis is perfectly aligned and perfectly ready to go. So that means we're ready to do our second axis. So to get your second axis going, we need our scope and the bubble on the scope. So you use your bubble, but before I get that to focus in, let's throw it on the scope. And get it set up. So we know our first axis is right. So now we've got our first axis. We can use sorry guys, first axis bubbles separated. Something different, I haven't seen that before. Shake it back out in a minute. There we go, back together. Okay, so we've got our first axis done. Just to double check. Yep, perfect. So the first axis is still perfect. Now, how can we get used to see this better? Maybe facing this way. Let's get it so we've got it back to level. Alrighty, okay, let's get into this second axis. Let's see if we can talk about it. Yep, we should be able to see what's going on here, hopefully. So, now we've got our, let's focus in. Okay, now we've got our first axis done. Now we can work on our second axis, and what we use, if you can see here, this bubble, we know this bubble and our first axis bubble's perfect. So now we have to, but you can see our scope bubble's out. So your scope bubble needs to be exactly level with this one. Okay, so we can see that's level. We need to get this level. So that's your second axis, is setting up your scope with your shaft, making sure that is exactly perpendicular or parallel, or whichever one of the two it is. So what we need to do now, the good thing about the achieve is it's got second axis adjustment, which makes it easy and really good. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to take the scope off though. So let's have a look at the marks on the bottom. So I need to tilt it down. I need to tilt it downways. Okay. So I need to make it so the scope will go down. So what I'll have to do is take the scope off. So this is a bit tricky. This isn't a great setup about here. And here is the third axis set bit here. I'm a bit all over the shop with this video, it's hard to get going. It's hard to show you exactly what's going on. So there's the third axis adjustment bit on the bottom. So you can see the lines off, so I'm going to have to adjust it, put it on, check it, adjust it, put it on and check it. So I'm going to add a fraction of a turn. It's got little markings on the bottom which is going to make it easier. So as you can see here, I'm just going to loosen this off a little bit. And nice and tight. And I need to make the scope go down. So I need to make just, let's add, so I'm going to go to half of one of the lines. So I've gone, there's all marking lines, I've gone to half the marking line. Before I tighten it up, I'm just going to slip it back on, whichever way it goes, and double check it. Well, now it's loose, we can put it on semi-loose, get it right. No, okay, so there it is there. A bit more. Just going to make sure everything's perfect. Alright, oh no, down a fraction more. Okay, so as you can see there, does it focus in? Can you see good? So you can see that the bubble is perfectly level with our third axis level. So that means our second axis and our first axis is perfect. So you line your first axis with the bow, your second axis with your scope, and your third axis with your up and downs. But we'll do that in the next video. Alright guys, so now I've just got to take it off, retighten it gently. You can retighten these back up now. Alright, let's double check that. Alrighty guys, check that out. We have our first axis done, and now we've got the second axis pumping out. So as you can see, the first axis, the second axis is perfect. The first axis is perfect. Now we got to do the third axis. Alrighty guys, so that's how to do your second axis on your compound bow sight. I suppose you could do it on your recurve sight too, but that is your second axis down. So all we got to do now, if you haven't guessed it, is the third axis. So stay tuned to tomorrow for that one. We'll be getting into that, making sure we get all that leveled out and perfect, and we'll be good to go. And the all axes will be pumping out. Can't believe it was so far out. God, I love this bright sight setup. Alright guys, so make sure you hit the like button for us, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons, and I'll see you soon for another video.